You are Locked On Coogs, your daily podcast on the Houston Cougars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Two buddies over at Talkspace, because therapy is a game changer. It can help manage stress, improve sleep, communicate more effectively. But finding the right therapist and fitting sessions into a busy schedule can be a challenge, and that's where Talkspace comes in. Talkspace, the leading virtual therapy provider, makes getting help you need easy, accessible, and affordable. With Talkspace, signing up is simple. You can match with a licensed therapist who fits your needs, usually within 48 hours. It's convenient. You can have sessions from the comfort of your own home, even message therapists between appointments, which is always nice to have on hand. Plus, Talkspace is covered by many insurance plans. And for most insured members, there's a $0 copay. It's never been easier to prioritize your mental health. As a listener to this podcast, you get $80 off your first month with Talkspace when you go to Talkspace.com/lockedoncollege and enter promo code SPACE80. To match the licensed therapist today, go to Talkspace.com/lockedoncollege and enter the promo code SPACE80 to get $80 off your first month of your support for the show. That's Talkspace.com/lockedoncollege, promo code SPACE80. Parker Angel, Locked On Coogs here, talking about Houston and Utah matchup on the hardwood floor in Fertitta on Wednesday night. The game was running scheduled for Tuesday, been postponed for the weather. And I've got a feeling this is going to be another weird one. Now, I was right after a couple more watches of West Virginia. I was wrong at the start of West Virginia, but I was right by the third game I'd seen that Houston blowed them out. I was right that Houston UCF was going to be a weird one. Houston going to have to get out of there, like, sneak out of a rock fight kind of a thing, and they did with a win. Jalen Roberts at the end, tremendous. I got a weird feeling about this one, and I got a few reasons why. And bluntly, as weird as it is to think about it for an indoor sport, one of them is the weather. Now, again, I've coached high school kids for a long time, and I understand that college kids are a little bit older and more mature, but not a lot older or more mature. And I think that it's hard to get around the way that the weather has impacted your prep, your routine. How do you get to or get into the gym? Do you have a normal day for your day before game day routine? Do you have a normal day the day of the routine? It looks like the ice is going to be kind of melting away starting mid-morning. The game's at 5, but the girl game is at 1. And so if the ice is only starting to melt mid-morning, how safe is it to get to the gym, get into the gym, get your routine going, etc., before stuff starts to kick off or starts to get going and tip off? I think that the snow day has a lot of impact on that. This game has been postponed a day too. So like on Sunday, Monday, you might have been gearing up. It was pretty clear they're going to postpone a little bit, but might have been gearing up for Tuesday night or something, and now it's bumped a day. I also think the snow day is going to impact the game and make it feel weird at a more visible level. Listen, be safe. Don't be dumb. Don't drive in hazardous conditions. We'll see what it's like if you're trying to get to the game. But the stadium's going to feel kind of empty. I'm seeing a lot of people all over social media posting about things about, hey, game got moved. I can't make it anymore. Hey, 5:00 tip is too close to when I get off of work. I won't be able to get down there in time for any of the game. Hey, does anyone want these tickets? Does anyone want these tickets? Does anyone want these tickets? And the truth is that it could very well feel like a pretty empty gym. Now, if you can get there safely, I imagine that also means it's a pretty cheap ticket. So go support the Cougs, right? And if you're going to the girls' game beforehand, just stick around, right? Like make it a double feature. You might have to get a second ticket, but stick around, make a double feature. Tell them Parker said, I don't know. Don't say that. Don't get me in trouble there. But I do think that, generally speaking, even with the blackout and the T-shirts and stuff they're trying to do for this game, it's not going to be a traditional Fertitta home game. Houston and Fertitta have been a match made in heaven. They've only lost 6 games in Fertitta Center since it opened. It's a very real home court advantage. I don't know that it's going to be there on Wednesday night. That's just a weird game because of this weather thing again. Right now, weather's not the only thing. I also think Houston could be Looking ahead this weekend on Saturday, they play Kansas in Kansas. Ken Palm predicts that to be a 1-point game. That game should be very close. Kansas, while they maybe have taken a step back in terms of talent, or Houston's leapfrogged them in terms of talent, whichever one you want to give credit to, playing them at Kansas is hard to do. You saw last year Houston lost at Kansas by 14 and won at home by 30. Right, that's a pretty big discrepancy in what home courts can be like. If Houston is at all looking forward, making this even more of a trap game, delaying it one more day did not help that. Right, for what it's worth, I also think going to West Virginia, even though it's a team you've already beat, is not going to be an easy task either. Playing at West Virginia is different than playing at Fertitta. So you could see this team starting to look down the road because this game did get bumped, right? And, I don't think we identify Samson teams as doing that all that often, but it's also, it's mid-January and it's kind of a weird situation, right? Also, for what it's worth, Utah shoots a lot of threes. They could just flat get hot. This is a 1-game sample size. I think Houston wins this game 9 out of 10 times, but it's a 1-game sample, and they're rolling the dice by shooting a lot of threes. That ends up being a lot of points sometimes, even if they're contested, because they're super tall, so they shoot over the top of defenses and stuff like that. Last year, Gabe Madsen got hot and kept it to a 10-point game. Admittedly, they don't have the Brandon Carlson guy that's now in the NBA. I think someone said I think he's in the Thunder organization. But they did bring in Asar to come in and kind of attack with a different kind of spot on the floor than Gabe Madsen does. Last year in this game, Utah was able to really hurt Houston with their quick ball movement. I feel like every time Houston doubled, the double either wasn't quick enough or was half step slow in rotation or something, and Utah was able to pass out of it and find a good shot. Obviously, it's later in the year for Houston. The defense is tighter, but it's also later in the year for Utah, and they may be starting to click on some of those kind of things, especially because their roster had so many transfers come in. You're starting to kind of piecemeal who fits together where and kind of getting more used to your teammates. I'm anxious to see it from a coaching perspective. Samson has some sort of a, trick up his sleeve for when Utah inevitably has an answer for a monster trap or inevitably has an answer for a blitz of a ball screen or whatever. I think he'll have something. My question is just what that thing is, and I don't know off the top of my head because you're giving up so much size, you can't vacate the back line or something like that, right? Now, Ken Palm says it's going to be an 18-point win. FanDuel, as of the recording of this, has it as Houston by 19.5. I think it's double digits, but I think it's closer than that. Certainly not up there flirting with 20 or more points like the 19.5 line, as I wouldn't go that high because of all of these weird things, right? Who knows what the student body turnout, who knows what the fan turnout is going to be, who knows what the preparation has been, the routines, etc. Right? The length is troublesome. The threes are real. I frankly would point out they didn't look like world beaters last Saturday against UCF either. I still think I got Houston by double digits. I'm thinking they keep the 60 or less streak alive. I think Houston wins 72-58. Now that's double digits. It's a few points less, a few possessions less than Ken Palmer or FanDuel have. But I'm sure in the comments or on social media at Painter512, you're going to quickly tell me why I'm wrong. But bring it on. We'll be here live after the game. 5 o'clock tip. Estimate somewhere in the 7 o'clock hour here at Locked on Coogs. Hit subscribe and hit the bell so you know we're live. Locked on Coogs is a prime member of the Locked On Podcast Network. That means your team every day. Go Coogs.